Hello, I'm Samantha Finley. I'm the National Creative Director for Toni & Guy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some ombre and balayage tips. I love this technique inside the salon because it's a quick way to get an ombre and balayage feel. What I'm going to be doing is utilizing 3 colors today. I have a dark, medium, and light. This is really important whenever you're working with an ombre and balayage technique, using 3 colors because it really helps create a transition color. And so this technique we like to call kind of our diamond fold, and we're going to weave highlights out as our paint-on pieces, and then the other elements of the hair left out, we're going to do an ombre color. We're using TG Copyright color, so any of you people that use TG Copyright color, we call it a 4/8/5. And that's my darkest shade. I want to create a lot of depth at the root area, and it's a beautiful color. And my medium color is a intense copper with a little bit of a subtle red. So in TG Copyright color, that is a 7/4/4 with 7/6. And both of my dark and my medium shades are both used with a 20 volume activator. And then my lightest color is going to be lightener. I'm utilizing the TG Copyright True Light White, and I'm using a higher activator for this, so anytime you're using balayage or doing ombre, if you're using mesh strips or you're leaving it out of a foil, it's always best to up your activator. So I'm using the True Light White with a 30 volume. What we're going to be doing is touching up our ombre but changing the colors a little bit, like I discussed before. And we're going to work a technique that works at diagonals. So we have diagonal backs here and diagonal backs here, and we're going to work a textured weave moving up, alternating the colors that we discussed before. And you can see ombre grows out really well, and she loves the technique. We're just going to bring it up and change the colors for her today. So the first step inside of ombre balayage is the root shade. So the root shade that I'm using today is the dark smoky mahogany brown. And what I'm doing first is I'm going to outline her profile and her hairline, and then apply a root shade everywhere else. And what a root shade is a tint retouch. And when I'm applying color around the hairline, I love to utilize my cutting comb because it helps direct the hair away from the face, which clients love because it has minimal stains around the hairline. So I've completed the root shade, and now I'm going to go in and take my first sectioning pattern. So I'm going to go on the top of the head and create a diamond. And so what this diamond's doing is just incorporating the crown area that I'm then going to isolate. I'm then going to utilize my points to help me create 4 sections on the underneath. So I'm going to come here and subdivide that there, so that kind of creates a radial. So I'm isolating from front to back. And then I'll come to the back and create a vertical section and work all the way around. So this creates 4 sections on the underneath. So I'm going to start in this back area by taking diagonal back sections, and then I'm going to take a textured weave off the top of this section. And I'm going to repeat this technique in both of my back sections. So you can see here, I like to comb my root shade out to help blend. And then I'm going to have a deep section, and that's fine because I want to create some contrast. So I'm going to take a weave that's approximately 4 to 6. Subdivide my sections. I'm going to use a mesh strip, and this is a TG mesh, but other companies carry a similar paper, and it just helps isolate the colors when you're working with anything that's dimensional or paint on. So you can see here again, just combing that root shade through and then painting my intense copper here. So again, what I used is a level 7/4/4 with a little bit of a subtle red, which is just a 7/6. So that's just copper and auburn through those mid-links and ends. And one of the things that you want to look at is vertically feathering. So I'm overlapping the 2 colors together and smudging them to create a nice blend. And I'll drop down my top section And this will be the bits that I highlight. And what I'm going to use here to give it a paint-on balayage effect is an angled brush. So I'll apply the lightener, the majority of the lightener, on the mid-links and ends. So making sure that those mid-links and ends are very saturated. And here I'm using the True Light White with the 30 volume activator, making sure those ends are saturated, and then using that angle to feather. Because the whole idea of balayage is to create an irregular feel from the root area. So people like to use an angled brush, or they like to go further up on one, further down on one, further up, further down, to create that irregular feel, so it allows for a soft grow out. So I continued the pattern alternating my shades, and I repeated this technique on both sides. And so now I'm moving around to the front, and it's going to be a little different in the front area because of the fringe. So I'll start with a diagonal back here, and then I'll have a diagonal back here, staggering it to detail the fringe area. Now I'm going to begin the same pattern around the front area. And something to think about when you're working this area, sometimes it's hard to get the product to stick, or the hair to stick to the mesh. So what I like to do is apply a little product to the mesh, and then it helps the hair adhere to it. And so that allows for a clean application. So when you're detailing the fringe area, what you want to use here is more of a natural weave. So around the back and on the sides, I'm using a textured weave, which is a 4 to 6. So now here, I'm going to work more of a 7 to 10 weave, just to add softness around the fringe area. You can see my diagonal here and then my diagonal in the fringe. And now I'm going to make sure that I marry those two together. So I'm going to take a diagonal slice in between both, creating kind of a bricklay pattern. And then I'll continue in the same motion as I did in my back two sections. And then I'll repeat the same technique on the opposite side. So now that we've completed the entire underneath, my remaining diamond section on top, what I'm going to do is comb the root shade out and apply more of my dark smoky mahogany brown and surface color the entire section. This is a great quick way to color a large section of hair if you're wanting to utilize the pre-existing color. So the technique is now complete, and my client is going to sit for 20 to 35 minutes depending on the lightness or the degree of lightness that you're trying to reach. So this is the finished look. I've completed my ombre and balayage technique, and through here you can see the darker color we put at the root area and the copper and the blonde tones throughout, and you can see how we have the ombre feel and also the balayage feel, so it gives a great combination and a soft transition from dark to light. I hope you guys like it. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.